Well, good afternoon. What a great event this has been so far. And I'm glad to be here to share a few stories of mine with you that I hope will help at least one person in this room today, or somebody that you know and love, be a better person. My name is Teresa Dossman, and I have to tell you that I am not perfect. I'd like to say that again. My name is Teresa Dossman, and I'm not perfect, and it's okay. And the reason I tell you this is because trying to be perfect almost killed me. I'm going to share a personal story with you today that I've not shared in public with anyone in the last 34 years. This is going to be a secret that I'm going to have to share with you today that I hope I do not get too emotional about. But I would ask that you bear with me because it's a secret that I hope will help those of you in this room that have any form of perfectionism, anybody that you love that strives to be perfect, and anybody that has trouble dealing with that perfectionism in their life. I have to tell you this little story about my background for this to make sense. When I was 9, I grew up in a small town on the outskirts of Cincinnati, Ohio. I grew up in a low-income area with 2 parents and 3 sisters. My parents were not well educated. My dad dropped out of high school at age 14, lied about his age, and joined the military so that he could get out of an abusive home life. My mother did not complete her education either. She got pregnant at age 19 and was unable to go on to college, which was her lifelong dream. They were very good parents, though. They worked very, very hard. At age 9, I realized that they were working 3 jobs so that their 4 daughters could have the things in life that they didn't have. I knew they wanted us to have a nice school to go to, nice clothes to wear, and an education that they could only dream of. I wanted to fulfill their dreams for them, and I decided at age 9 I needed to be perfect. I needed to be perfect in every way. I needed to make straight A's. I needed to make sure that I dressed perfect, that I looked perfect, that I looked like those models in those glamour magazines. So I began to make myself perfect. I stayed up late nights studying for tests. I looked at myself in the mirror every day and said, I'm not pretty enough and I'm not thin enough. I don't look like those models in those magazines. So around the age of 11, I started to diet. I said, I need to be more perfect than I am. And I looked at all the different ways to lose weight. And at an age where I should have been doing things to grow, I was doing things to not grow. By the age of 11, I started to lose weight. I went from 90 pounds to 70 pounds. And I kept looking in the mirror thinking, I'm still not pretty enough. I'm still not thin enough. I'm still not perfect enough for what I need to be for my parents. I don't blame them, but my mind and the perfection in it overtook my ability to think straight. I dieted and dieted and dieted to the point at the age of 14, I became 45 pounds. And at 14, I wouldn't let anybody take my picture because I didn't think I was worthy of being photographed. But at an event that I was at, a reporter snapped my picture. My eyes were swollen into the back of my head. My chest was sunken. My arms and legs were bones clad with skin. And I was barely able to get up every morning to go to school. I would look back on the pillow and large clumps of hair would be sitting there together so that I would look like I wasn't bald. And I still didn't think I was pretty enough. I still didn't think I was thin enough. I still needed to be more perfect. One night, the freshman year in my high school years, I got up in the middle of the night because I couldn't sleep, because my stomach would ache with hunger. And I'd go into the kitchen and get another package of diet soup out of the cabinet. But this particular night, as I was reaching for that package, the room started to spin and the lights started to flash. And the next thing I knew, I was falling very fast to the floor. The next thing I remember is waking up in the hospital and my mother holding my bony fingers and crying because she was afraid that my heart would stop for a 3rd time and I'd have to be resuscitated and it may not work a 3rd time. It was very tragic, and I put my mother and father through a living hell so that I could be perfect, because perfect is what I thought I needed to be. And I'm here to tell you today, perfect is not worth dying for. It's not worth taking what you know is right and just being the best that you can be and taking it to such an extreme that it's a killer. It's a death wish. What I found was really that the perfect mind in that case was imperfect. That my mind had overcome all those things I knew were reasonable and had made me the person that I was, obsessed. I want you to think about yourself. What is your reality when it comes to perfection? Are you a perfectionist? Do you borderline on perfectionism? Do you know somebody that does? If so, I hope I can help you with my story today. Because you know what? It's hard not to want everything to be perfect. It's hard not to want to take risk because you're fearful that you'll fail. But I want you to take a minute just to think, where am I in that realm of perfectionism? Let me tell you a little story. Just recently, I was promoted to a new position in the school district that I work for. I've been a teacher and an educator for 25 years. And it was a new position where I was very much wanting to show that I was capable and able to do everything just right. That perfectionism was coming back. And remember, I said at the beginning, every day, I have to tell myself, I'm not perfect and it's okay. I was asked to give a report on some data that I had collected. So I did all my research, I did all my homework, and I got ready to go in and give the report to my boss. For those young folks in the room, it'd be like giving a report in class for your teacher. So I had it all ready. It was going really, really well. And then I realized when I looked down at my data sheets that every piece of data was off 3 lines, that nothing that I was prepared to report was accurate. And here I was in front of my new boss with wrong information. If this was you, what would you do? Would you, in that case, pick A? I'm just going to focus on the fact that I did well for the rest of my presentation and not worry about what is about to go wrong. Or would you be B? Ask your boss or your teacher for advice on how to improve the report next time, knowing that it's going to be wrong. Or would you be C? Spend the next week worrying that you're going to get an F on that or get fired from your job because you totally messed up that report. Think about it. What would your mind tell you you really would do? Let me give you one more example. This is my niece. How would you like to have her at home, right? I was fortunate enough to be a lot of years younger than my oldest sister, but when she had her children, she did that principle of let's get them out of the way really, really quick. So she had her children one right after the other. And when my niece was turning 1 year old, my sister was in the hospital having her second child. So she asked me, Teresa, would you please go ahead and plan the birthday party? And I said, sure, I'd love to. That'd be so great. I'll have a great time with it. So I got really, really busy, got a great party plan for all the family and friends. And once everybody got there and congregated for the party, Heather had her first breakdown. Meltdown city, crying, wouldn't cooperate. So we, just kind of calmed her down and went on with the party. Second moment that we asked her to cooperate, meltdown city. We said, oh, Heather, it's time for you to have cake. Screaming tantrum. I thought, okay, let's try one more time. And so then we went to open presents. And Heather had nothing to do with that. She was not going to enjoy that at all. Another temper tantrum. What would you do if this was you? Would you A, just kind of chalk it up as overstimulation and go on? Or would you B, apologize to your guests profusely and decide, you'll never do that again. I don't care how much my sister asks, I'm never doing that again. Or would you C, become extremely disappointed in your mind that that party you worked so hard on just didn't go right? Where would you really be? Would you be A, B, or C? Because whatever you selected will determine which chihuahua you are on the screen right now, all right? If you picked A, you're the chihuahua on the right. How many of y'all picked A for both those scenarios? A few. Good for you. because you're the Chihuahua on the right, easy going, let it happen, roll off your back. But if you didn't raise your hand for A, and you picked either B or C, and you were honest with yourself, you're going to find yourself the Chihuahua on the left. Overstressed, perfectionist, gone wild, and you're going to find your life not as fulfilling as it needs to be. You may even have to come up with a way to deal with that perfectionism. And let me share with you, here's how I was able to do it. After spending 3 months in the hospital and learning how to eat right again, and how to overcome the desire, the obsession with being perfect, I learned how to map my mind like a tic-tac-toe board, which sounds a little odd because it's very hard to win at tic-tac-toe, right? Because just like that report you gave, you're ready, you're good to go, you're the X on the board, somebody's going to block you with that O. And that O is wrong data, something goes wrong in the report, you might be making a presentation and you get the ideas in your head all wrong, but somebody blocks your X. So you have to come up with a plan B. If that actual report had bad data, then maybe you just throw another X out there and say, you know, I see that the computer must have printed this wrong, and so I'm going to go ahead and go back, fix this, and ask to come back and report this at a later date. Okay? But then let's say the boss says, or the teacher, no, you're not, you're going to do it right now, because this is the time I have for this report. You may say, you know, okay, let me just throw the data aside, and I'll finish that report with what I know in my head. All right, so that you keep moving your X's on the board. Let's take the example of the child having a meltdown at the party. Obviously, if you throw that X out there, I got this great party plan, it's going really, really well, and the child throws the O, blocks your plan, come up with a plan B. In my case, we put the child to bed, got out the margarita machine, cranked it up, and had a great time anyway. So have something on your plan when the perfect party doesn't go right that you can have a good time anyway. You know, if you continue to put your X's on the board, at some point, that party, that report, that presentation, whatever you're doing, will come off just right. Because somebody will think, I put the O in the wrong place, I'm not going to block that, and you've won at tic-tac-toe. You won't win every time. But for those y'all that have that perfect desire, that unlimited mind that you've got to wrap yourself around, that not everything is perfect, you do need to have a plan B. I once heard a quote from a very intelligent man, actually the gentleman that planned this TEDx conference today, shared this with me. Peter Hahn shared that take things one day at a time. He also says, and I know he deals sometimes with a little bit of perfectionism, to let things go, and don't take things personally. You know, it's very important to know that not everything that's said to you is a personal attack on you. Let your mind go and don't dwell on things that would cause you to have to die over it. You know, stress is the #1 killer. It has been linked to cancer, diabetes, heart disease. Don't let perfectionism overtake your life, because nothing is worth dying for. And I would like to leave you with this quote that Peter also shared with me, that no longer is the pursuit of perfection the goal, the prize, but rather to perform at your personal best. That's all you can ask of yourself. Perform at your personal best. Don't let yourself think that your best is not good enough, because it is. And you will find that your personal best will shine. Let your mind go of the perfectionism. Let yourself free of that, what I call, prison of perfectionism. Don't let it kill you. I want to leave you with one last thought. You know, if it's raining outside, don't worry about getting wet. Just start thinking about how to build the boat. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm curious, how would you give advice to someone that may be a closet perfectionist, and they're concerned that if they don't pursue perfection, they might descend on a slippery slope toward mediocrity, where they might say, how do I know I truly can't achieve that? Am I setting my goals, aims too low? How would you help them find that balance?
That's a great question. You know, I'm glad that Peter said, what about the closet perfectionists? Those of us that, you know, we feel like, okay, we're not going to worry about it. We'll roll with the flow. Things will go the way they go and not worry about it. But in your mind, you're really saying, it's got to be perfect. I can't let it be anything less. Anytime that you're pursuing something new or different, allow yourself to take the risk. Allow yourself to enjoy the experience and not worry about the failure, because the failure is where you learn. The only failure I think there is in life is if you don't learn from the mistakes you make. That's the only failure you're going to experience. Allow yourself to take those risks. You know, if you're not the greatest singer in the world, but you want to get up and sing, do it. Because if you're doing it at your personal best, then that's all you can expect out of yourself. Remember, it's very, very important to allow yourself to experience things even if you're not good at them, because they are things that you enjoy and will grow and prosper from.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter.
Pleasure seeing you again. Thank you.